There are literally millions of different types of businesses you can buy. All sorts of different combinations, whether you're looking for an affiliate site, a software business, an e-commerce, Amazon FBA, there's just a plethora of choices. And you might be asking yourself, well, what kind of buyer am I? What kind of business should I buy? But that is where most buyers stop. They never go a level deeper to really understand their own motivations, who they are, and how that really translates into buying a perfect business for them. So welcome to our buyer series. In this video, I'm going to introduce this entire series of videos for you so you kind of understand what's going on. And we're going to prepare you to know more about who you are and what kind of businesses you should be buying, because knowing is really half the battle. And if you will go through this whole video series, you're going to be in a very good position to deploy your capital, whether you're just starting out or whether you've raised millions and millions of dollars. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, Gregory Elfrink here. I am the Director of Marketing at Empire Flippers, where we help people just like you every single day of the week either buy or sell digital online businesses that are making a decent profit. So in today's video, what I want to discuss is what this series is all about. So there was I think it was a few weeks ago, I'll put the comment here, someone left a comment on our YouTube videos asking, hey, you guys have really great buyer personas, but the way you discuss them is always from a seller perspective. Like, how do I sell to this specific buyer? And that was some pretty fair criticism. So I decided, why not do a whole video series on buyer personas from a buyer perspective to understand more of who you are. And to top that off, I have a little bonus for you. I'll link to it at the end of this video, or you can find it in the description down below. We actually put together what is known as a buyer persona quiz quite a while ago on Empire Flippers. It takes all of like 5 minutes to fill out. And it is just a fun little test that helps you decide what kind of buyer you actually are and what kind of strengths you should probably focus on. So I'll leave that link down below. I'll bring it up again as my call to action at the end of this video for you, but you can check that out. So this series is all about understanding who you are, what kind of businesses you should be buying, and the various strategies that go into each of these personas. So by the end of this video series, you'll have a very, very good idea of what resonates with you and where you are on your journey. So let's get into it. Now, the next video in the series is actually one I shot a while back ago. So it's not going to mention this series at all, but that's the 4 fundamentals of buying a business. I think that is a very good foundational video for you to watch, and it's going to help you a lot. I might have been a little bit worse at YouTube videos then because it was one of my first ones, but let's be honest, I haven't gotten that much better. So yeah, sorry about that. But a quick recap of that fundamental video. I'm not going to go super deep into here because it's literally the next video, but you need to look at things like your current budget. So how much money do you actually have to spend? What are your current skill sets? Do you have any kind of skills at all that translates over into online business? And you need to ask yourself, what are your personal and your business goals? Those are 2 very different things. And often people muddy the waters and they mix both of them, and that's usually not an ideal situation. Better than not having any goals for sure, but usually not the best situation. So when you're making your personal and business goals, I believe I say it in the next video as well, but really when you look at personal goals, make all those goals not money related. No financial anything in the personal goals, just something you really want to do in your life or accomplish in your life that is non-monetary. In the business goals, obviously that is pretty much 100% monetary, so go wild on that section. But definitely watch the next video in the series to dive deeper into all of those things. Another thing we're going to be talking about in this video series is what kind of business model actually makes sense for buyers of certain types. Now, when I say business models, I'm not actually talking about whether you buy an affiliate site, e-commerce site, or a software business. In fact, what I'm talking about is your buyer business model. A lot of people, especially if they're brand new, don't even realize there are different business models when it comes to buying a business, but there are quite a few. So probably the most common and the one that is most well understood by almost everyone is the buy and hold strategy, where you're just buying a business for cash flow and you basically hold on to it indefinitely. And that is a very good strategy depending on what your goals are. But then there's other strategies too, like the buy and flip, where you buy a business for a low price, you tweak it up and you make it much better and you sell it down the road for a higher price. Then there is the buy and scale, where you're buying out businesses that are primed to scale, but for whatever reason, the seller couldn't get to that scale that they were wanting, or maybe the seller didn't even want to scale, but you as the buyer do, so you're aggressively focused on growth. And then of course there is the buy and roll up acquisition strategy, which is where you're basically buying businesses to complement other businesses, and you're rolling them all up into one gigantic mega brand that you will most likely sell for a very high valuation, probably to private equity sometime down the road. So those are just a few of the business models we're going to dive into in this series, as well as the different personas and which strategy makes sense for which persona. All right, so what are the buyer personas? If you're in marketing at all, you have probably heard about customer personas or buyer personas. Now, when we say buyer personas, it's kind of like it has two meanings, because yes, from a marketing standpoint, this is our quote unquote buyer persona, but also I'm referring to you as a business buyer. So we use it in our marketing, but this is also helpful for you. So the main personas are newbie norm. Let's see if I can remember them all. I'm probably gonna mess this up. Editor, watch out. But it's newbie norm, lifestyle Larry, do-it-yourself Dave, portfolio Paul, there's investor Ivan, so that's 5, and strategic Sally. I think that is all of them. I was right, that is all of them. I had to check my notes real quick. I say them so often, but you say it so often you end up forgetting one. Like I always forget about lifestyle Larry recently, because we just deal with him a little bit less than we used to. But yeah, it's all good. I remember that all perfectly clear in one take. So that's the groundwork of this video series. That's the whole plan. By the end of this series, you're going to be extremely well educated on these buyer personas and really figure out where you belong in that whole spectrum. And don't worry if you want to be this other persona, but you are more similar to a different persona. The way I'm going to describe them is kind of like an evolutionary path. Most buyers will start as newbie norms, and that makes sense. You're brand new, right? And then from there are several different paths of evolution. I'm going to describe each of those paths and how they may come about, or when you should evolve to get into that new persona. So let's dive into the next video. But before we do, if you want that bonus tip, which I'm going to be mentioning a lot in this video series, except for the next video because I shot that video before I thought of this series, definitely check out our buyer persona quiz. You can figure out who you are right away, and it can serve as a nice little companion guide for you throughout this whole series. So let's dive into it and get into the next video. And by the way, if you for some weird reason, even though you haven't watched the whole series yet, you absolutely love it, please go ahead and hit the subscribe bell. It means a lot for my own ego, and it also helps us in the YouTube algorithm so more people can hopefully find our information. So if you find it valuable, please hit the subscribe button and leave a comment down below. Talk to you soon. Bye.